Hello, guys. Good morning. How are you guys doing? I hope everyone is doing well. Let me just check here if the sound is working fine for everyone. Just 1 second. Sound seems good, guys. I hope you guys are having a great day. Let's just wait for a few minutes for more people to come. Here we are in Dublin today. The weather is quite good for January. It's not so cold, so let's be thankful. We don't have any snow yet, luckily. This January is being quite an amazing January. I guess for those who are here for a good while, they know that in January, sometimes we don't get really the best weather, but today is lovely. Okay, let me just see here. How is the connection? Okay, so everything seems okay. Hi, Emon. Good morning, man. How are you doing? Good morning, guys. So it's so nice to have you guys here with us today again. It's been a long time that I don't do any Sunday talk because I was traveling. I was in Brazil for a while, but here I'm back again. So I'm quite happy to be, on these Sunday talks again. Okay, guys. So before we start, because the topic is gonna be quite long, so people they will start to see us once they come along. Let's do our initial prayer as we normally do. So for those who feel comfortable, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes, to take a deep breath. Let's place ourselves right here at the present moment, forgetting about all the troubles and the worries that are in our minds. Let's be thankful for the lives we have at the moment, for all the troubles that we may be facing. Let's remember that God is under control. It's supporting us, it's guiding us. So everything that happens with us at this time in this life is for a good purpose, though we cannot see that yet. So let's be thankful for everything. And let's ask guidance and strength to keep going when times are hard and difficult. And again, thanks for the opportunity, God, to be here talking about Spiritism among friends. Thank God, and so be it. Let's start. Sorry, guys. Okay. Okay, guys. So today we're gonna be talking about sexual energy. What is sexual energy? According to the Spiritism teachings, what's the purpose of sex for us? How can we understand a little bit more about sex, in this life? You know, uh, Here we're gonna be having a lot of help from the Spirit's book and also from the works of André Luiz. And here, even if I'm not gonna be reading the full questions of the Spirit's book, I kind of compiled a little bit here. But here in the Spirit's book, from questions 200 to 222, we understand something that spirits don't possess a gender, as we understand. So spirits, they are not male or female. They are simply spirits, okay? And spirits can animate also a male and a female body. So as we said, because the spirit has no gender, the spirit can be in one life a male or in the other life a female. Spirits are indifferent about what gender they will reincarnate. These decisions depend on the trials that they must undergo. So then we ask ourselves, okay, Wanderley, am I a male, a spirit or not? As we said, there is no such thing. But the spirit chooses to come as a male or as a female, depending on the process that it must undergo and in their reincarnatory plan. So most of the time, according to Andre Luis, we have let's say a kind of a gender that the spirit prefer to be reincarnating. We have two cases: Emmanuel, the mentor of Chico Xavier, and we have Joana de Angelis. Both of them, they are quite. Once we read their books, once we understand about their work, we are quite clear that one is male, the other is female. But as we said, there is no such thing. But they identify themselves more as a Joana de Angelis and as an Emmanuel. But for them to come to this kind of I wouldn't say conclusion, but to reach this kind of level, they passed through different incarnations in different sexes before, in different genders. Even if we don't see that in the books which they wrote, like they don't say Emmanuel when he was a woman, for example, or Joanna when she was a male. No, they don't say that, but they say quite clear in their work that we keep changing. And once we keep changing, and once we learn everything about certain gender, we move to another gender sometimes, and after we have some knowledge, we may choose what we prefer to be identified. And here Kardec has a really nice note where he says, spirits incarnated themselves as men or women because they have no gender. And it's necessary for them to develop in every direction, both sexes as well in every variety of societal position, provided to them with special trials and duties, and with the opportunity of acquiring experience. A spirit who always incarnate as a man would only possess the experience of knowledge of a man. That's what we said. But as it says here, depends. Once we incarnate as a woman, you have your duties. Once you incarnate as a male, you have your duties. When I'm going to talk about duties, we are not talking about the societal duties which they impose to us, such as women they have to do this kind of work or men they have to do this kind of work. No, but we are talking about the realms of affectivity where they have to develop certain sides of their personality, you know. So if we were only to incarnate as a male or as a female, we wouldn't learn the other side. We have a very nice example according to a friend of Chico Xavier who was with him for over 70 years, Arnaldo Rocha, who was, we can say, his great brother, you know, in this life, even they weren't like properly brothers. They were good friends. Arnaldo Rocha believes and said that Chico said to him that Chico used to reincarnate more as a woman. And we see that in Chico's personality because he was a very soft person, very sweet person, you know, very calm, very cool, you know. Once we see Chico, we see that he has a lot of the female characteristics that male they don't have. So maybe we can say, we cannot confirm that Chico was a woman in several reincarnations before. But then he came here in this life as a male because he had to learn something. We cannot here point what he had to learn or not allowed to learn. But we see that certain people, once they born, they have certain characteristics more than the others. Does that make sense, guys? If you guys have any questions, guys, please let us know, okay? And here we have to understand what's the purpose of sex in life. Some people, you know, they can say that sex in life is to give us pleasure, is to reproduce, is to love, is to unite, is to exchange energy. Some people, they may say it's a way of distraction, it's a way of relieving stress. So here, this purpose of life, that's going to be according to each one of us, according to our beliefs. So some people, they are more, once they think about sex, they think more about love, that more sublime side of sexuality. Some people, they think more about pleasure. So those ones who only want to have sex because they want to have pleasure, they don't care. Some people, they simply use sex to reproduce, you know, because they know that to give birth, it's something quite beautiful, and the world needs this side. So each one of us, we may identify ourselves here in this list, but this list is quite short. We have many other ideas that we could add here. And if you guys have any idea, please let us know here in the comments. But that's, let's say, a few sides of the sex proposed in our life. And then in the book Sex and Life by Chico Xavier from 1970, Chico Xavier, Emmanuel, gives a message which is quite nice to us. The book, it's here for those who doesn't know. Sorry, I don't have this book in English. It's Vida y Sexo, or Sex and Life. It's a really nice book. I recommend everyone to read. It's quite short. Once I find that's translation in English, I may add here, but I'm not too sure if that one is in English yet. But in this side of book, yes, Steve, it's a really nice book. I agree with you. In this book here, in the beginning, in the introduction, right in the end of the introduction, Emmanuel says something quite nice about sex. He says to us, not imposing abstinence, but decent employment with due to respect of others and oneself. Not indiscipline, but control. But let's stop here. Sorry, guys. Let's stop in the first part. Not imposed abstinence. So in the past, guys, we used to kind of say to ourselves, no, I cannot think about sex. Sex is something quite bad, or I should not have these kind of thoughts. So what we used to do, we used to impose our abstinence, but in fact, we want to have sex. We want to practice it because it's something natural and something beautiful, and it's something which is in nature to us. But here, Emmanuel says to us, we should not impose this abstinence to us, but we should use sex with the decent employment, respecting the others and ourselves. So we can have sex as much as you want. Let's say if you are a couple, okay? Doesn't matter if you are a straight or gay couple, love is love. So let's say if you have your partner there, or if you have your partner and you guys want to have sex 5 times a day, is that a problem? Not really. If you guys really want to do this, and if you guys respect each other, and if that's not affecting your life, why should that be a problem? Maybe you guys are on holidays and you guys want to enjoy yourselves. That's okay. We are not here to judge. And Emmanuel will say that here, because each one of us, we perceive sexuality in a different way. But Emmanuel, at the same time, he keeps going and say, not indiscipline, but control. Maybe sex 5 times a day is not really the best way, to use sex. But if you want to have sex every day with the person that you love, what's the problem? So again, we have control of sexuality. We are not controlled by sex. You know what I mean, guys? And then he says, not free impulse, but responsibility. Again, if we have to act, guys, only towards our impulsivity, what we used to do, what we would do, we would do what the animals they do. Once they want to have sex, they go and they do sex. But at the same time, animals, at least, they only act, they only have sex once they really want, or they have to reproduce. So in fact, animals, they have more control than us. But what I mean here about animals, because animals, if they have that impulse in that time, they go and do it, they will do it. Emmanuel says to us that we should not give this impulsivity to us in our daily life. So what does that mean in real terms? Let's say if you're a guy, you see a girl, or if you see another guy, and you just want to go and have sex. Can you do that? Of course you can. We can do whatever you want. But again, that goes against the responsibility that Emmanuel is trying to bring to us here. Because he says to us that each time that we have a sexual intercourse, we are acquiring responsibilities in the law of action and reaction. And we're going to see this. That's why he says to us, not free impulse, but responsibility. Outside of that, it's simply theorizing to later to learn and relearn from experience. So outside of these advices which Emmanuel gives to us, it's simply fail and learn and learn and learn again from experience. So we are living our sexuality, we are failing, and we keep coming here to try to improve in this aspect. Some people, they say, I'm not too sure if that's true or not, but again, I'm gonna quote here Arnaldo Rocha, the friend of Chico Xavier, who said that Chico Xavier once said that he would accept, in the spiritual world I'm talking about, he would accept this work to come to Brazil to psychograph many books with one condition from the spiritual world, that he would reincarnate as a male. Because according to Arnaldo Rocha, Chico Xavier, once he was incarnated as a woman before, the part that he was failing the most was regarding to sex. We are talking about someone who was quite morally higher than us, someone was quite elevated if you compare to us. And even there, Chico said that he had a lot of sexual problems before. So if Chico had, I'm not saying that Chico is perfect here, no, but we see that the work that he did here. But what I'm trying to say, that everyone, they fail in terms of sexuality. Everyone, Emmanuel says in this book that everyone in this life is still failing in regard to sex. And when I mean still failing, we're not saying that they're cheating on their partners, but in some level of the sexuality, they are not really comprehending and using it in the best way possible. That's what Emmanuel tried to say to us. And he keeps going. Without this, it will be to deceive ourselves, to fight, to no avail, to suffer and restart the work of personal sublimation as many times as necessary through the mechanism of reincarnation. Because of the application of sex in the light of the love and life, it's a matter pertinent to the conscience of each. So what he's saying to us, if we keep failing, we're gonna keep restarting here, even if we are very evolved in certain aspects. Once we are not so evolved regarding to how we perceive our sexuality to ourselves and the others, we keep reincarnating until we learn that lesson. And also, in the light of love and life, this matter is only pertinent to us. So what he's trying to say, we shouldn't judge the way which the other perceives sexuality. Oh, the other one is gay, the other one is straight, or the other one is that or that. We have so many names nowadays. The other one does that or that. That's not our problem. If you don't think what the other one is doing, just don't do it, but don't judge. Because as Emmanuel said here, it's only a matter of our own conscience. If you are happy, it's up to you. You do whatever you want. But as we said here, everything that we do in this life, including sex, has relation to the law of action and reaction. That's why we should pay an extra attention in how we perceive sexuality. And here, André Luiz, in the book Green Light, message 45 towards sex, he says that do not try to standardize the affective needs of others by their affective tendencies, because although love is a uniform and sublime light in everyone, the understanding and position of love rank is in a thousand ways on the evolutionary path. So do not try to standardize. Do not try to say, because I believe sexuality should be this, everyone should believe like me. That's what's the problems that we have again, the problems that we are having towards the LGBT community, which is quite ridiculous nowadays in the 21st century, that some people, they think they are wrong because they believe we should act in this way or that way. No, each one of us, we are different. We do whatever we want. As long as we do with distance. What I mean by distance, once we are not hurting the others and ourselves. Because I remember Divaldo Franco said once also that a couple, doesn't matter if it's a gay couple or a straight couple, doesn't matter, if they love each other, if they respect each other, if they are together, they are really being honest with each other, there is no problem at all. Doesn't matter if they like doing this kind of way, they do this or that position or whatever. That's what I'm trying to say. So Givaldo explains to us that once the way that we perceive sexuality, it's our problem as long as we don't hurt anyone. And we are we have different ways of reaching this knowledge. That's why basically we should respect the other way of perceiving it. And he said, he kept going in this message, do not want your happiness at the price of someone else's misfortune, because any imbalance of wild affection will be corrected at the expense of tortured affection to reincarnation. So if you are living your life, doesn't matter which way you perceive sexuality, but your pleasure is costing the other happiness. So if you are lying to someone, if you just are saying to someone that you love that person to have sex, if you are cheating on someone, or if you are, being a dishonest person, all these actions that you are doing will cost you a lot of unbalance sides on yourself, and that's gonna hurt you in this reincarnation or in the other reincarnations that will come. So whatever you do here, you're gonna have to fix yourself. André Luiz talks in the book. I forgot the name of the book. I forgot now, guys. But he says that once we act lying towards the others, once our pleasures they come at cost of someone else's happiness, we become co-responsible of their misfortunes. So if I lie to someone just to have my pleasure, that person's misfortune, I'm also co-responsible for it. And sometimes we don't think like this way. We just want to have our pleasure and we don't care. But whatever the person suffers later on because what I did, I'm going to be responsible also for that, maybe less. And when I say this, I'm talking about cases, for example, if let's say in the past we used to have cases like this, when a man used to lie to a young lady, for example, and then after a while she discovered and she killed herself. I'm just giving a strong example, but that happened before quite a lot in the past. That woman, once she committed suicide, she's gonna have to be responsible for her action. But her action came because of the action of that man. So also he's gonna be called responsible for her suicide, plus by the cheating that he did on her. So everything is connected. So every action that we do in terms of sex or in terms of affectivity, if we don't do that properly, we're gonna have to be responsible for that. And he keeps going. If someone has made a mistake in their sexual experience, consult your own conscience and see. You would not have made the same mistake if you had the opportunity. So again, we have this habit of going there and judging someone. When, let's say, we see our friend and he goes there and he cheats on his wife or on her husband, doesn't matter, and then we start to judge, and then we start to say to society, that person is not a really good person. You see what he did? Oh God, she was with that guy and then she left that guy, now she's with a girl or something like this, or with another guy, and we judge. So Emmanuel is saying to us that maybe if we were in the same position, if we have the same chance, we could have done the same. So what he's basically saying to us, do not judge. And that goes to the basic principles of Christianity or any other philosophies. Do not judge the others. Otherwise, you may be judged also. So leave to the other what he's doing with the sexuality. If they come to us and ask for some help, perhaps because they like us or because they they have some kind of sympathy, towards what we think, it's one thing. But we shouldn't be judging, especially when we see in social medias people, oh, because this guy did this with that, especially famous people, with that actress or that singer, or this guy is blah, 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 blah. No, guys, don't come too close to that. Don't do it, because once you are judging that person, you have to be careful, because as he said here, maybe if you were in the same situation, maybe you would have done the same. So let's pay attention on what we say. And here again, André Luiz says in the book Action and Reaction that sex is a viable energy of the soul, which it works upon nature, in which it develops, perfecting itself. So guys, you see, sex is something so sublime and so beautiful that André Luiz puts it as a viable energy of the soul. So our sexuality, guys, is not something that we humans only perceive in this physical body. In the spiritual world, even they do not have sex, they have the same energy, sexual energy, and this sexual energy, it's everywhere. It's in the planets, it's in the galaxies, it's in nature, it's in the water, in the rivers. So sexual energy is the energy which keeps going, keeps make things to change, but you see how it's nice here, which it works upon nature, in which it develops, perfecting itself. So he's saying to us that our sexual energy is something that keeps developing itself. So the way that perhaps we perceive sex today, or the way that we are, using our sexual energy, we're going to develop the ways of doing this, but also this energy is changing and changing according to the being. So if I am a being, if I'm a spirit who perceives, better, all the relations which I have with people, if I know how to forgive, if I'm trying to not judge the others, if I'm not using my sexual energy only for sex, but to create something, to do something good, this energy, sexual energy, on myself, it's developing, it's changing, because I'm changing. You know what I mean, guys? So what we have to understand that sexual energy is an energy of creation. It's an energy which is everywhere, guys. It's not only related to sex, you know? And here he keeps going the same message from the communion of subatomic principles to the attraction of heavenly bodies, manifesting the power of love generated by the infinite love of God. So you see, guys, it's everywhere from the subatomic principles in the universe or in nature to the heavenly bodies. So maybe we can talk about here planets or stars, you know, manifesting the power of love generated by the infinite love of God. So that's why Einstein, he wrote a letter, you know, to his daughter, um, was he was alive, and this letter was only read and discovered by his daughter, I think 30 years after he passed away. And he said that in the universe there is a strong force which humankind they do not really comprehend yet, which is another force of the universe, which is love. Einstein said that. Wasn't Jesus, wasn't Kardec. Of course, they did say that with different words, but the way in which Einstein said that, he puts love as something quite strong in the universe, something which creates, which create a universe, create galaxies. But this love, unfortunately, in the level that we are, we only perceive the word love as something between two people. But no, they are saying to us that love is this powerful force. And with this powerful force, we create galaxies as we give life to someone in the sexual intercourse. But everything is connected. Everything is the same energy, but in different levels, you know? And here, let me just, if you guys have any questions, guys, please let us know. In the Spirit's book, question 60, uh, the spirits they say that the law of attraction unites all the elements of matter in organic and inorganic bodies. So everything in nature is united by this, element, you know, of the law of attraction. And then we have Chico Xavier in the same book, Sex and Life, saying that sexual energy is a resource of the law of attraction in the everlasting state of the universe, is natural in life itself, generating magnetic charge in all beings in the face of the creative potentialities that it has. So you see, the spirits they say that the law of attraction unites everything in the universe, everything which is organic and inorganic. So we are talking maybe here from a human body, or an animal, to a piece of stone, to a piece of meteor which has no apparent life. So everything has this sexual energy on it, because as Emmanuel says here, sexual energy is a resource, of the law of attraction. So everything is connecting, and in this and sexual, the sexual energy that we have here creates this magnetic charge in each being. Could be something alive, our organic body, or an inorganic body like a piece of stone, for example, and everything throws this the sexual energy throws has this magnetic power surround it, which gives potentiality to it, which keeps itself changing, as we said. And here he says, in primitive beings located in the first steps of the emotional and reasoning, and also in all creatures that for a while prefer to stay at the level of the brutes. This discharge of such energy operates expressively. So in the beginning, in the primitive beings that we were before, or in the primitive beings like dinosaurs, or the bacteria, all these animals which were living on Earth before us, everything there, it's starting that stage that we are only brute, we only care about sensations. That's why emotion and reasoning came in after. Once we start, emotion comes in these primitive beings, and reasoning starts to come once we start to think in the human phase of our evolution. And all these creatures who prefer to stay in the level that before in the brute stage. So let's say we want to perceive our sexual energy, our sexuality, like we were before, as animals or men in the caves, not really caring about the feeling or the sentiments of the others. Once we prefer to stay in this stage of our evolution, once we prefer to stay back, living like we used to live before, everything, all the energy that we are spending, brings us this discharge of energy, which it's only being wasted. Basically, that's what Emmanuel was trying to say to say to us. Once we are in this stage, we are wasting sexual energy, we are wasting creativity, we are wasting our time. And this, however, costs them distressing results to support them for a long time of fixation in less happy existence, in which life, little by little, teach, teaches each one of us that no one abuses someone without causing harm to himself. So that's a quite powerful part here. So once we are keeping ourselves in this stage of brute, that we don't care, we just want to perceive our pleasures, these um, actions will keep us in this less happy existence. So we're gonna have to keep coming, in order to fix what we did before. And as he says here, that no one abuses someone without causing harm to himself. So once we are abusing of someone, in the sexuality of someone, we are abusing ourselves. We are hurting ourselves. We are not hurting the others. That's why each evil that we do to the others, we are doing to us, And with sex, it's no different. And here in the Spirit's book, book 3, chapter 5, the law of preservation, enjoyment of earthly joys, we have certain aspects here that are quite nice for us to connect with this topic. In the Spirits, they say to us that God made material things attractive to mankind for two reasons. First, to motivate us to accomplish our missions. And second, to assess us by temptation, which will help us to develop our human reason, so that may it safeguard humankind for access by our own choices and actions. So God made everything on earth. It made the material stuff. It made the sensations and pleasures, not forbidden to us like we have in the myth of Adam and Eve. Once we have the apple in the heaven's garden, So, okay, we're not, trying to say that's not everyone believing what they believe, but according to Spiritism, we believe that's just an allegory, you know. But in this allegory, we have the apple, we have the snake, and we have all these symbols there, saying that material things are not really something that we should perceive, because material things is from this world, and in the spirit in heaven we should not have these kind of things. But as in Spiritism we say that because we are evolving, God gave these material things to us, pleasures, for us to motivate ourselves, as it says here. So once we have something material which makes our life easier, we keep searching for more progress, but we keep using this in order to improve ourselves, to improve our lives. But at the same time, he gave to us the material things here. We are talking here more about pleasures in this case, in order to assess us, to see if we have the power and the free will to do anything we want. Are we really gonna do everything that we want? Because once we do this, as we saw in the previous slide, we go back to the stage of brutes, where we only perceive pleasure for ourselves. We are not really caring about the others. We are not really, thinking about the consequences. That's why God gave that to us, this kind of temptation, like we have in the allegory of Adam and Eve, to see if with our reason we're gonna say, okay, like Paul said, I can do anything, but not everything is good for me to be done. So we have the power of choose whatever we want. But is everything that we want good for us? Not really. That's why we have to have this balance, the middle way, like Buddha said. But as it says here, once we start to develop our reason, we start to choose a little bit better, And then he keeps going here in question 714. What should we think of those who seek to enhance their pleasure in all sorts of excess? And that one here, I got the properly answer from the spirits, because I believe it's quite powerful, and this one should be read in full. So the spirits, they say such individuals should be pitied rather than envied, because they are very close to the moral and physical death. So if each one of us who only thinks about to enhance our pleasures, in all sort of excesses, we are killing ourselves, morally speaking, but also physically. Let's try to understand what the spirits are saying here to us. Each one of us who is only giving, power to our sensations and pleasures, we start to don't care about the others. We don't care about anyone, only about ourselves. So what we do, we start to become more selfish. Once we become more selfish, once we become, we don't care about the others, we are killing ourselves morally. What does the spirits, they say, by killing? It says that we are causing such harm to us that we're going to have to be spending long time in the future to trying to be fix this. But at the same time, once he talks about excess here, about physical death, we have to understand that everyone, each one of us who perceives, pleasure in life, we are talking about here, could be anything, guys. Again, we are not here to judge before I say anything, but anyone who drinks too much, take a lot of drugs, um, you know, only use their sex, abusing their sexuality, not caring, or any kind of other abuse, which gives to us a certain level of pleasure. And once we go higher than this kind of good limit of pleasure, we are killing our physical death also. Because if you take too much drugs, you can kill yourself. If you take too much alcohol or any kind of other substance, any medical substance, you can kill yourself. If you only live to have sex, you're going to be living like an animal. You're going to be destroying your life only to perceive pleasure. That's why we have that people who are nymphomaniacs. We have several movies which presents people who are like this, who only can live, for sex. But then someone may ask me, Wanderley, but what's the limit of good pleasure? What is spiritism to judge? Oh, that's a good limit, and that's not a good limit. No, spiritism does not try to judge what's a good limit or not, what is excess or not. Your conscience will say. So once we are drinking too much, we don't have to wait for someone to come to us and say, hey, Wanderley, be careful, you are drinking too much. We start to see in our life how we are perceiving alcohol, or how we are dealing with alcohol. Same with drugs, same with sex, same with any other pleasure, any kind of pleasure that we can have, with our body. Okay, I'm just giving these two examples, but we have much more. So you will know, and if you don't know, you're gonna see your life maybe sometimes getting, an extra level of you're going to start to have troubles in your life related to this kind of excess of pleasures. So that's why we have to be careful, once we are perceiving this kind of pleasures. So again, spirit is not against, human pleasures. It's not against good things in our life, but he's asking us to perceive our conscience, to find the middle way. Okay, so then we have here Kardec's note, where he says, those who seek an enhancement of physical satisfactions in any kind of excess place themselves below animals, because even animals stop at the satisfaction of a need. So here, guys, you see, as we said before, an animal when he wants to have sex, he goes there, he has sex to reproduce, he kind of distress that energy, and he keeps going living his animal life. But we humans, we don't have this. Once we start, I had sex now, I want to have more, or I took some kind of drugs now, I want to take more. We don't have limits. Most of us, once we have this kind of, once we perceive these physical satisfactions, we don't have really, we tend to just not stop. Some people, not all, but most of the people, they tend to have, to create a bad habit, perceiving this, or taking this substance, or doing, you know too much sex or whatever. So animals, they know when to stop. We don't. You see how it is. And here Kardec keeps going. Such persons negated the reason given to them by God for their guidance, and the greater their excess, more power they give to the animal nature over spiritual nature. You see, guys, once we start to giving more, um, once we start to give, um, more space in our life to these kind of sensations, feelings, satisfactions, and actions, we are going back to the brute stage. Remember what I said? We are going back. We are not going forward, because we are just want to have pleasure. And excessive pleasure means selfishness, because we don't care about anyone. We just care about ourselves. So instead of going to our spiritual nature, which is to go back to God, we can put in this way, which to become more evolved, we are becoming closer to our animal nature. We are going closer to our stage where before we didn't care about anyone, we just cared about ourselves. And he keeps saying that diseases, illness, and death itself are the consequence of excess. They also serve as atonements for transgressing God's law. So you see, guys, that's what André Luiz said in Nosso Lar, that who would say, when André Luiz goes back to the spiritual world, I think his mentor, forgot his name, Lysias, I'm not too sure, Clarencio, I think, he says, André Luiz, who could say on earth that excessive pleasures, excess, um, sorry guys, too much bad thoughts, too much, um, gossiping around, too much selfishness would create diseases, would make you sick. But here he's talking about feelings, but at the same time, here we are talking about something a bit more material. We are talking about these physical satisfactions. But you see, guys, everything which starts here in the thought, once becomes something material, once becomes an action, and once this action becomes a habit, a bad habit, a vice, it starts to killing ourselves morally and physically. And once we start doing this, we are going towards, we are going against God's law. What is God's law? God's law is love. And what is love? If you could simplify, you could use the most beautiful thing which I believe Jesus ever said: do to the others what would like to be done to you. So once we are going forward towards this Jesus principle, this idea, we are following God's law. Once we are going against only thinking about our pleasures and our sensations, we are going against it, and then we're gonna have to be facing all the consequences of it. That's why, guys, sometimes we start to ask ourselves, Wanderley, why do I have such a bad uh, life, in terms of a relationship? Why no one likes me? Or why each time that I have a relationship, it doesn't go, it fails, or the person cheats on me, or things like this? I cannot say why. Of course, I think everyone should find their own truth, maybe search for some guidance, um, with psychology or something like this. But let's not remember what Emmanuel said here. Let's go back, guys. Just 1 second. Okay. Let me find here. I know what he says, but I want to find here. I forgot what it is, guys. But Emmanuel says here to us, guys, that no one who cause any harm to the others, you know, uh, should think that we're not gonna face this um, back to us. So perhaps some people they have used it and abused it in their sexuality before in the past. Some people they have maybe abused it in the terms of affection towards the others, and maybe just maybe because we have no 100% truth here, we are not here to try to proclaim what's true and what's not, why you are having this, why I'm having this, but maybe towards the law of action and reaction, we are facing things of our past. We are facing things that we perhaps perceived in previous lives. And here, that's why I found here. In each life, clearly teach here, guys. That's a really nice part here. This, however, causes them distress results. Blah, blah. In the end, each one of us that no one abuses. Sorry, guys, I'm gonna read again. In Let me read everything here. Okay. I'm gonna read the full paragraph, guys. Much easier. This, however, caused them distressing results to support them for a long time of fixation in less happy existences, in which life, little by little, teaches each one of us that no one abuses someone without cause harm to himself. This part, guys, this end is quite powerful. So it's saying to us that all the distress, all the abuse that we did before related to sexuality, related to our sexual energy, related to effectiveness, affection, sorry, towards the others, we are causing harm to ourselves. But before, maybe once we were in previous incarnations, we didn't care about this. We had no clue about this. So we just wanted to have our pleasure. And because we just wanted to have our pleasure, we had our pleasure like we have in the gospel, in the gospel, in the Bible, when Jesus said that each one of us who perceive only this world here, we receive the reward from earth. But that's it. If you gain your reward on earth, you're not going to gain the same reward in the spiritual world. Basically saying to us, yes, if in previous lives we only want to have our pleasures and our satisfaction, yes, you got your pleasure and satisfaction, but do not expect to have the same pleasures in the spiritual world. And then again, you are going to have to be reborn in the next reincarnations to try to fix what you did. So perhaps, guys, what we can take from this is this. Everything that we do with our satisfactions, our pleasures, will come to us at some stage. So not will come to us, but everything that we do, we're gonna be responsible. We're gonna be responsible, guys. Do not do not try to be smart. Because if you try to be smart with someone else, if you try to lie to someone else, if you try to, only to want your pleasure with someone else without caring about that person, lying to that person, that will come to you, guys. And most of us who came here to Ireland, once we came here, maybe a bit younger, in our 20s, early 30s, we used to go out and have fun. We didn't care. It's natural, it's normal. But once we start doing that, knowing about the consequence and knowing about what may come in the future using the Spiritism teachings, then it become worse, because before you were going out lying to boys and to girls and not caring, only caring about yourself, but you didn't know. Now we know. Now we have these Spiritism teachings explain to us. Everyone who is watching us here today, they know a little bit more about the consequence of using their sexuality in a bad way. So before you do that again, rethink about yourself. Because if you start doing that all the time, the consequence will come. And André Luiz explains to us that a lot of times, once we go to sleep, and sometimes we go and see something adult, we can put this way, pornography and things like this, before we go to sleep, we activate something in our spiritual mind that a lot of spirits who in the past had disaffections or that we caused some harm towards sexuality or affection comes All these spirits from the previous lives who are the spiritual world, they come in our sleep because we open this door, we can put it this way, watching pornography or something like this before we go to sleep. He explains to us that once we do this, these spirits from the past, they gain more power over us. They come to us in our dreams, trying to take our energy away. That's why before we go to bed, we should try to pray, try to watch something nice. Guys, please do not get me wrong. We are not judging here who does that or not. Most of us we have done that. I believe all of us have done watched pornography or have done anything bad with our sexuality in some stage in our life. And let's make even this statement stronger. Let's use the spiritism basis again, according to Emmanuel. All of us we failed before in terms of sexuality, and in terms of sexuality we're still failing in this life. So it's not my opinion now. Now I'm using a Emmanuel to back me up. So we all fail at some stage, but what we should try to be doing, failing less and less and less, until the end that we're going to be able to control our sexual energy to do something good, until we're going to be able to perceive all this energy that we have inside ourselves, to maybe to help someone, maybe to do something good, maybe to read, to write, to to be more useful to society and ourselves. So it's a matter of time and practice. We must be practicing. It's like an exercise going to the gym. We have to keep trying. Once we fail, that's okay. As Emmanuel said right in the beginning, that we should not try to condemn ourselves once we fail regarding to pleasures and sexuality. We shouldn't judge ourselves. We're still learning, guys. We are still in baby steps. Okay, but at the same time he says to us that we should try to improve. We should try to perceive this very powerful energy in the best way possible, because if we know that we are doing that, if we know that we are wrong and we keep doing, our debts in the law of action reaction will be much bigger. So we're going to be putting ourselves in a bigger trouble situation, we can say in this way. So let's be aware of our actions, of what we do, in our free time, because as Jesus said, um, whatever your heart may be, your treasure may be, your heart may be also. If we are putting all our sexual energy, all our energy into pleasures that they gonna vanish in a few seconds and a few hours, in a really short amount of time, once we are putting all this energy into these things, we cannot say that, oh, I'm here, I'm a nice guy, but your heart is full of, you know, this kind of feelings. So let's be aware and be honest with ourselves, guys. I hope I was able to uh, explain a little bit about sexual energy. And here, guys, in the end, I have this slide here where we have a selection of books of Andre Luis. There are some books which are missing here, but the three books which I used the most here was Action and Reaction, Evolution into Words, and Sex and Destiny. Some part I just said here coming from these books, also from the book Green Light from Emmanuel and Chico Xavier. So if you guys want to take a screenshot of this, I believe a lot of these books, at least 10 of them, they are translated into English already. So you guys can search that to study, to read. And Andre Luis is a spirit through Chico Xavier and Valdo Vieira also. Like this book, Sex and Destiny, was psychographed by Chico Xavier and Valdo Vieira in different places. So these books, they bring to us some kind of explanation towards certain topics which to us here to society we see a little bit as a controversial, such as drugs, sex, abortion, and things like this. And one thing which is quite nice to see, that when Chico Xavier psychographed this book, we were in the highest, in the peak of the, what's the name of that movement in the 70s? of love and sex, free love. Forgot this the musical festival that there was, guys. Please, if someone remembers, please write here. But we were in the peak of discovering our sexuality after centuries of society trying to, yeah, the hip movement, Stephen. Yes, thanks. So when Chico Xavier psychographed this book, when Emmanuel brings this message to Chico Xavier, we were in the highest level of the free love and free sex brought by the hippie movement, which was a wonderful movement. But of course, as any kind of societal movement, it brings to us, of course, some bad things. But again, we are not here to judge or not. But we understand that this movement came because of a repression that we had in society towards sexuality. Then the hippies, they came and they tried to, to open love, and sex and drugs to the entire world. So again, we're not saying that's bad or good, but what we are trying to say that we understand why Emmanuel brought this message at that time, because the Woodstock. Thank you very much, Samantha. Yeah, the Woodstock. Yes. So Emmanuel brought this at the peak of the hip movement at the Woodstock, in the time of the Woodstock in the 1970s. Because of this, we lived like, I don't know, 19 centers of repression towards sexuality, and now we are in the center of enlightenment, of reason, where we can do everything that we want. But again, let's go back to Paul of Tarsus. I can do anything I want, but not everything's going to be beneficial. It's going to be good to me. So Paul understood that we can do everything, but not everything's going to be good to us. But how society will understand these just two extremes? Once we had no freedom towards sexuality, we had the oppression. Now we start to have freedom. We tend to abuse our sexuality, but there will be a stage in life, which I believe is not so far, that we're going to start to perceive sexuality in the best way possible. Emmanuel says to us that once we start to change our mindset here on earth, once we start to come to the word of regeneration, as we say in the spiritist movement, but in the future still, we're going to start to perceive, sexuality and all the human sensations and pleasures in the best way possible. So we had to come from centuries of uh, abstinence, because of society. Now we are abusing, and we're going to improve. That's what I want to say here, guys. If anyone wants to say anything, guys, feel free. At the same time, I'm gonna be leaving here some. Gonna bring some reminders here to us, so that every Wednesday we have our studies group at 8 p.m. And if you guys want to participate in these studies, please, guys, send an email to us at spiritismisland@gmail.com, and we're gonna be sending you a Zoom link, and you guys gonna be participating towards Zoom. And also, guys, every Tuesday, we have, our lives every Tuesday and Thursdays, a quarter past 7. Okay, normally it's Stephen myself, or Stephen with someone else. And every Tuesday, guys, after the speech, at 7:30 on our YouTube channel, we have our healing. So you just go to our YouTube channel at 7:30, okay, Dublin time. There is no need to send any link because it's done using our YouTube channel, and we're gonna be having there our spiritual healing. Of course, it is an online healing at the moment, as we still don't know when we're gonna be open to have presential meetings because of the coronavirus. Is still, it's getting worse again in Ireland. But some days we hear that the restrictions are going to be getting easier. We don't know yet, but for now, for those who are keeping asking us, when are we going to be having the presential meetings, guys? We don't know yet. We don't know if it's going to be in the same place at the Lantern Center. We don't know anything yet, unfortunately, guys. But once we know, guys, we will send you guys a message on Facebook, or we're going to be saying something here. Anything else I missed, guys? Steven, if I missed anything, guys, please let me know, guys. I'm gonna give 1 minute to Steven to see if I missed something. but I believe I said everything, guys. So guys, keep following us, guys, on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, to get notifications and things like this. For us, in order to keep trying to bring this spiritism videos that we are still doing. Let me see here if Steven said something. He said everything's fine, guys. So, guys, for today, I believe that's it. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, Patrocinio, Steven. I appreciate that you guys enjoyed, guys. I hope this was clarifying the ways that we should perceive sexuality and trying to understand. And we know that we're not going to be changing from day to night, but at least we know a little extra now. So we're gonna be doing our final prayer, guys. If you guys don't have anything to say, okay, guys. So let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Let's try to connect ourselves with the best friend that we have, the one who promised that he would be with us forever in the difficult times, the difficult situations. Let's try to connect our thoughts and our hearts to our Master Jesus. This is Spirit who is here on earth trying to support us, to be our older brother who is guiding us, who is trying to make our life and our path a bit easier. But he cannot live our lives. He cannot be in the troubles that we may face. Because everything that we are passing, guys, are consequences of what we did. And they are consequences of the lessons that we must learn in order to keep improving. But one thing for sure we can say, that though Jesus cannot pass the troubles that we must pass for us, he always gonna be beside us, inspiring us, trying to support us, trying to bring strength in our heart. So let's be thankful for this old brother that God gave to us. But let's be thankful forever for also for everyone that we have here on earth, our friends, the people who are in our life, and also let's be thankful for those who have caused harm to us. Because if this harm came, it's because God permitted, and God is just, and He's a loving Father. So He knows that there is no mistakes from there. We know there is no mistakes from God. Let's be thankful for everything, guys, and simply understand that we are here just to pass through and to improve. I'd like to send a special thought to those who recently passed away, to my good friend Martin's father who passed away recently, that may God be with Martin's family, but also with his father in the spiritual world, in order to him to understand the new stage that his spirit is. Thank you, God, for another opportunity here. Thanks for the Spirit Society of Ireland, to my friends here, to allow me to keep talking about Spiritism, even though I'm not really good at it. I try my best. Thank God, and so be it. Okay, guys. Thank for again to be with us. See you on Tuesday. Have a good Sunday and enjoy today. Bye.